Right, this is all about landscapes. So, what is a landscape? If you've ever looked at a landscape before or made a landscape, you might already know. But if you look at these two examples, you can see, what do you see? What makes you say that, and what else can you find? So if you look carefully at these two landscapes, you might notice that they are outdoor scenes. There are natural elements like trees, grass, things like that. It shows the sky as well as the ground. So that's basically what we're looking at when we're looking at landscapes. So they are artworks that are focused on the outdoors. So usually the focus of the art is the outdoor scene. Sometimes there are people or buildings in a landscape, but most of the time they are not the most important thing. And usually they feature natural things like the ground, rocks, water, things like that. So let's talk about the pieces of a landscape. The first is going to be the sky, which is also known as the background in this case. And the sky is going to be really important because, as you can see, it stretches from the top of the paper all the way to where it meets the ground. Okay, so in this case, in this famous landscape by Vincent van Gogh, you can see that the sky is really the focus here, but that's not necessarily always true in a landscape. Sometimes it's just a really basic part. The next part of the landscape is going to be where the ground is, or sometimes in cases of seascapes, where the water is. So where the sky meets the ground or the water. Okay, that's the little line that we're going to start with when we draw. Now on the ground, you're going to have different colors, or in the sea, different colors, different details. But then after that, you have to decide what else is going to be on this picture. What's going to be in between the sky and the ground? And what I mean by in between is the sky and the ground are going to meet and touch each other, but there's going to be probably something else on your drawing. So what is it going to be? Is it going to be trees? Is it going to be boats? Is it going to be a building? So you have to kind of decide what you're going to want to make in the foreground. So this is known as the foreground. That means it's closer to you. Okay. Is there going to be things like growing items like trees or bushes or flowers? Is there going to be an animal? Is there going to be a building? So what is going to be in the foreground? Now, we are also going to be talking about creating space in landscapes. So it's really important to understand that when we create the illusion of space or the illusion of depth when we do our landscape, there's one really easy way to make that happen. And that is if something is close to you. So if something's really close up to you, like say one of these trees that are kind of here in the foreground of this picture, they are going to be really big. Notice that the trunk of the tree is near the bottom of the paper. The top of it goes off the top of the paper. It's so tall. Then things that are farther away are going to be smaller. So look at these tree trunks back here. See how the bottom of the tree trunk is very high up, closer to the line between the ground and the sky. And the top of it is obscured by these trees, but it's going to be shorter. So basically the things that are farther away are shorter. The things that are closer up are bigger and taller. So when you start your drawing, we're going to start in pencil. We're going to just do a general sketch. We're going to figure out what is the focus of our landscape. What does the ground look like? What is the sky going to look like? And then once you have that figured out, you are going to sketch in and color in your landscape. Now you can use whatever materials you would like. You can use paint, you can use crayon, you can use colored pencil, marker. I'm going to use a combination of those things. So stand by here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch in where my landscape sky is going to meet my ground. Now, I don't like to usually make it a straight line because I like to make it look a little bit more interesting than that. So I just kind of do kind of a little bit of a squiggle line, something kind of natural looking. And then I can go through and put in the details of my sky. Now, your sky can look however you'd like. For this demonstration, I'm going to do a really quick sketch, so please excuse my poor craftsmanship with my coloring here, but I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm looking for this. Okay, so see how I took the sky all the way down to the line where it meets the ground. Okay, And then I'm going to put in the color of the ground, which in my case, I've chosen to do sort of a forest scene. So I'm just going to start with kind of that ground cover color of brown. And then I've decided that I'd like to do this with mixed media, meaning I'm going to use several different types of art materials. So I'm going to grab a marker here, and I'm going to start with my forest scene with the trees that are really far away. So remember how I mentioned that the trunks are going to be sort of closer to this horizon line that we've created. So the trees that are really far away are going to be smaller, and they're going to kind of hug this line, okay? So the ones that are far away are going to be small, little, tiny trees. Now, as I start getting trees that are maybe a little bit closer to me, I'm going to start drawing those in so that the top of the tree is higher up and the bottom of the tree is lower down. So you can notice here that as I go through and put these trees in, I'm making them get taller, and they're looking like they're taller and closer to me because of the way that this all works. This is kind of really fun. It's almost like magic when you start building these landscapes and they start really looking like they do in real life when you're out there in the forest. Oh, look, those trees do look farther away because they are shorter. Okay, it looks like my marker's kind of running out of juice here. Okay, so this last tree I'm making very close to me by making it the tallest tree on my picture. Okay, so then I'm going to go through and add other details in. Remember, I'm looking for detail in this picture, so I might go through and add some leaves, and notice how I'm just kind of putting the idea of leaves in here. Okay, I might go in and put some bushes around some of my trees. There might be some bushes back here that are kind of small. The bushes get larger as they get closer to me. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm building my landscape with my taller and shorter trees, my taller and shorter bushes. And if I had more time, I would, of course, make this more detailed and put more, use a little bit better craftsmanship. But that's the basics of what I am looking for here for this project. Okay, now as we talk about grading, I am looking for you to always give me that great craftsmanship. And I'm looking for you to create the illusion of space with lots of detail. So I'm looking for you to make sure that you give me closer objects that are larger and farther away objects that are smaller. And make sure that you add some details in there. Happy art making.
Happy art making.